Glock perfection. You know, they say it's Glock perfection, yet a new generation of Glock comes out all the time. The question is, does this actually improve upon Glock perfection? Are these as reliable as those Glocks that you know and love? Today on Garand Science, we're gonna figure it out as we delve into hardcore torture testing of the Glock 19 Gen 6, which is really similar to the Glock 17 Gen 6. Now, Garand Science is very expensive. Lucky for you, we have sponsors that pay for Garand Science. Now, the biggest sponsor of Garand Science is, of course, Primary Arms, supplying us with everything we could possibly need, or you could possibly need, whether it be their HTX-1, all made in America optic, or whether you want their awesome 1-8. There are tons of great optics out there, and we love them. And even better, right now it's Fantastic February, which means that you get a free hug from Primary Arms. Just message them, say XOXO hugs, and see what they say back. I'm gonna lose a sponsorship so fast. Now, of course, next up is gonna be Bravo Company USA. We're very excited to have them sponsor us because, well, we love their rifles. You know, a lot of people said that we don't love their rifles. That's not true. In fact, one of the first reviews I ever did was of the BCM MCMR. Been a big fan of them forever. They combine great value with great cost. These are 100% combat rifles. Go and give them tons of love and email them and say, Mike Jones / Garand says, Paul is a really cool guy. You never know what's going to happen. And here's the thing, as cool as these rifles are, if you don't have some good combat ammo, it's not going to get you anywhere. Last Shot Arizona is our go-to for war ammo. You should have at least 13 mags packed full of that really good ammo, whether it be M855 Alpha 1, armor piercing, whatever you may want. They might have it. You don't know. We got to say that kind of quietly. It's a little bit, you know, touchy-go and that type of stuff. But here's the point. Last Shot Arizona has all that really cool, good stuff. We can't recommend them enough. Go and check them out. And all that being said, talk is cheap. Science is illuminating. Let's get into Garand Science. Now, today on Garand Science, we're going to be delving into the Gen 6 Glock. I think it's important to conduct another reliability test because several important things were changed on the Gen 6. Now, these changes aren't exactly mind-blowing, but they are enough that they warrant a test, in my opinion. Let's talk about what's been changed on the Gen 6, and we'll go into our testing protocol. So, obviously, we have things that are superficial in terms of slide serrations, etc., but there's a couple different things. Notably, the trigger. We have a newer flat-face trigger. I'm interested in if in any way this might cause some issues with the trigger safety right here. So, of course, this is going to be a big point of testing. Another change has been on the controls. The controls are actually further out from the frame than they used to be on the older Gen 3 Glocks, which we have right here. My question is going to be if that is going to allow more material to ingress. In addition, we have a change in the extractor. So, as you can see, the extractor is now of a different design compared to what it used to be. In my mind, it definitely looks like the newer extractor on the Gen 6 seems to have less clearance for mud and debris to get in. So this actually might indicate that it might run a little bit better compared to the Gen 3. At the same time, you have a little bit more gap due to these newer ambidextrous controls on the Glock. So there's a lot of unknowns here. In addition to that, since the Gen 4 and the Gen 5, Glock has used a dual action recoil spring. With the Gen 6, they're going back to what the Gen 3 had, which was a single typical recoil spring that you see in a lot of different guns. So we have the Gen 6 recoil spring, and here's our Gen 3. And you can see, here's our Gen 3. Very, very similar in almost every way. Now, changes have been made to the striker system. It's more reliable and it breaks in a little bit better than the Gen 3s, and I am a huge Gen 3 Glock fan. So with all these changes, I'm very interested to see if the Gen 6 Glock retains the same reliability as the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which have all performed very well. My gut says yes, but the only thing that will prove us right or wrong is going to be
science.
I didn't pay him to say that. Now, testing protocols are going to be fairly simple. So here's how it's going to run. We have our Gen 6 Glock. This is the star of the show. It will be compared against a Gen 3 Glock, so we can have a nice comparison to how previous Glocks managed. Obviously, this one is an optic. However, that being said, the weight on the optics are quite negligible and should not in any way affect reliability in any appreciable way. Now, to round it out, we also have an M&P 2.0. If you've watched our channel for any amount of time, you know that the M&P 2.0 is the reigning champion when it comes to our torture tests. So we included it simply to have a good baseline to go with. So we have these 3 guns that we'll be testing in order to get a good baseline for the Gen 6. Now, how it's going to run is we're first going to do a drop test. How we're going to do that, I can't imagine why we drop test pistols. We have these blank rounds, and all they have is a primer in them. If we drop them, and if the firing pin spring fails, or if the firing pin fails, or the striker mechanism fails in any way, it will dent the primer, and we'll know that the weapon has fired. Now, this is a safe way to conduct this test, and is no different from a live round, with the exception that we're not going to fire a full slug out of the gun at the ground when we fire it and be dangerous and maybe hurt Preston or something like that. He can't be hurt, actually. He's it's like something about Idaho. Sorry, we're in Chicago right now. I don't get it. Now, after we've done that, we're going to do a submersion test. We're going to pull them out of the water, fire. Then we're going to fire up submerge, all in the Phantom, so it should look really cool. We'll then add in freezing after that, and then we'll add in dirt and various thicknesses of mud for a full-fledged test. I'm very excited. I hope you guys are. Let's do what we do best. Let's torture my personal guns. That lowers their value permanently, and then they no longer work quite well after that. Okay, we got our blank round right here. Let's go ahead and pop that little guy in. Because there's no slug in there, we gotta kind of feed that guy in there, because there we are. Okay, we got that in. Pop our mag in. Now this gun is safe. However, we'll find out if it goes off. We'll do 2 drops from chest height onto its muzzle, and then we'll do 2 drops from chest height onto its beaver tail. There we go. As expected, no changes. There's a lot of safe features in the Glocks. Now, of course, we will now check that. And as you can see, there's no primer indentation that I can see. That's a good sign. That means we had no type of failure whatsoever. It certainly didn't go off. Next up, we'll test it onto its beaver tail right here. Let's give that a shot. From chest height. You guys ready?
Yep.
I'm kind of worried the beaver tail is going to break when I do that. I hope Glock makes really good polymer. Come on, Catherine Glock. That one was a little messy. Let's do that one more time. Oh, that was perfect. Look at that. Yeah, shoe looks good. Let's check the primer right here. And once again, no primer indentations. Actually, a slight primer indentation. Looks like 2 slight primer indentations. Not enough to set the gun off. That's fairly common from what you see. Let's see how it compares to the others. Barely a scuff. So barely. For now, we shall say Gen 6, drop test, pass. We got the Gen 3 Glock. We've got our blank round with an unfired primer. Go and pop that guy in there. She's good. Okay. Mag's in. Let's give it a shot. Get it. Oh, man. You'll definitely know when the primer goes off. It's loud. I didn't see anything occur. Yeah, that's clean. No indentations, no marks. Gen 3 superiority once again. If you don't know, I carry a Gen 3. I'm kind of a snob about it. You carry a Gen 3 too, don't you?
I sure do.
Look at that. What about you, Preston? Be very careful how you answer.
I carry a Gen 3.
What do you carry?
Dagger.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, the one I gave you, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Those are great, actually. Okay, let's go ahead and do it on its back. Here we go. All right, that was a messy one. Let's try that again. Come on, Mike. Good. I like when all the FUDs kind of just skip to the section and they're like, oh my God, that gun's pointing at you. I'm like, it's a primer, and if I die from this, then God wanted me to. Check that out. No primer indentations whatsoever. No scrapes, nothing. Beautiful. Okay. Gen 3 Glock. Bing. That's a pass. All right, M&P time. M&P is a champion, so I'm very excited to see how this one does. Smith & Wesson social media bullies me constantly about including the M&P and more, and that's fair because it's a really good handgun. And unlike Glock, it's only gotten through 2 iterations. All right, we got the blank loaded in there. Let's go. That was kind of a messy drop. Let's do that one more time. Okay, one more. That was a great one. You see that? Clean primer, no indentations, completely safe. You don't have to worry about your Glock or M&P so far. Maybe I'll eat my words. We'll see. We've certainly never seen a failure from the M&Ps as of recently. Are you nervous at all, Preston? You're just feeling good.
I feel great.
Cool as a cucumber?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. That was a great drop. I'm just getting good at this. Ah, one more. Oh, look at that. It hit at that weird angle and it partially ejected the round. So that's not a failure. That's just the fact that I dropped it like a freaking autistic kid. And that's all good so far. Let's give it one more drop just so nobody thinks we have any bit of favoritism. Gotta be tough on the guns, right? All right. Look at that. Nice and clean. Okay, beginning of the torture test so far. Every gun has passed, M&P 2.0. Bing. What we're gonna do at this point is we're gonna do a basic function test. We're gonna fire 5 rounds of each, just to show you that they're all in working order. Each of these guns has at minimum 500 rounds. They were then cleaned, broken in, re-greased, re-oiled to factory standards. Let's go ahead and see if they're working. Okay, first up, we have Gen 6 Glock 19. We have standard Spear 124 grain provided to us by Last Shot Arizona. We picked Spear because it is a good, commonly used military and police round. Okay, it ran boringly reliable, just like you'd expect from a Glock, and that is wonderful. So, Gen 6, I do have to say, I really, really like the contours on the Gen 6. The ergonomics are, in my opinion, superior to the Gen 3 through 5s, to be honest. Okay, right here we have a Gen 3 Glock. We have normal Spear, 124 grain. Let's try it out. And I could see that arc of brass. That looked just clean as hell. That's exactly what we want to see. So far, every gun is working perfectly. Let's go over to the M&P. Same thing. All right. So everything, whew, I still caught it. I'm proud of myself when I do that, you know. Every gun is functioning. Let's go to our first, I would say, real test, because not one of us expected those guns to fire when dropped. Let's do the first submersion test. Let's try it out. So first up, we have our Phantom camera right here. Films at over 1 million frames per second and more. How much are we filming at today?
Right now we are at 98,000.
Nice. That's roughly 3,300 times slower than what we're experiencing right now here on Earth. So pretty interesting. Now what we're gonna do, gun's already loaded. We're going to dip into the water, wait for the bubbles to stop, bring it out, fire. We have the Phantom to be able to precisely diagnose any problem. And I'm pretty excited. Let's give it a shot. You guys ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I'm gonna dip it in. Wait for those bubbles. You ready?
Yep.
Well, that worked perfectly. Gen 6 Glock. Now, the question might be, why submerge and then bring the gun out? You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. Maybe you're a Navy SEAL. Have you thought about that? Take some time. You might wonder what type of water this is. This is pure Idaho aquifer water. So you have Gen 3 Glock. Oh, just a click. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, we had a very light primer indentation. How interesting. Let's give that another shot here. Oh. Okay, let's this is a light primer strike. Looks like the firing pin spring might not be doing good. You want to try your Glock? Right, looks like we have a problem with the firing pin spring on this guy. It's not hitting hard enough. So we have another stock Glock Gen 3 19. Let's see if we run into the same problems or if it's a little bit better. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, if you're a Navy SEAL, what we'll say about the Gen 3 is you need to set it up for maritime use. Get the maritime cups in there. Otherwise, that girl ain't firing after being submerged. How interesting. I did not expect that. Did you expect that, Preston?
No, I thought it was going to be fun.
Well, I mean, yeah, this one has the minus spring for the trigger, but this one is completely stock. There should be no problem. Well, the more you know. Now that this gun is drained, let's make sure it still fires. Okay, so it definitely still fires. It's just that water definitely prevented that firing pin from working correctly. Interesting. So on both our Gen 3s, what we saw on the high speed was a tiny bit of the water coming out of the back of the ejection port. So what we can surmise is that the water in the firing pin channel just didn't have enough places to go, so that when the firing pin was released, the spring encountered quite a bit of water, which slowed it down to the point where it could not hit the primer with enough force to detonate it. I thought I'd ran this test before with Glock 19s and it had worked. Clearly it's not working on 2 stock Glock 19s, so, well, I would say the science has proven itself so far. So we'll say Gen 3 Glock 19, fail. M&P 2.0, let's see how it does with the submersion test. You guys ready?
Yep.
Looks like it had no problem whatsoever. Got a nice little flash of water from that first shot, just like on the Gen 6. Worked great. Let's see what the high speed looks like. Everything looked good, including on the high speed. Like what we see, M&P 2.0 is a pass. Now the next test is going to be very cool. We're going to do a fully submerged test. If you come right over here and take a look, we're going to completely submerge the guns, wait for the bubbles to stop. We're then going to fire the weapon and see if it works underwater. Now, of course, it's not really that big of a deal if a gun works underwater or not, but it will look cool, and it's certainly a torture test. Now, I'm reasonably certain that this aquarium's going to blow apart when we do it. We kind of had to do it last minute, just like I thought. We thought it'd look cool in the Phantom, and it'll be fun for you guys. But we'll probably get one. We have the gel here, but the bullet's going to be going very slow through the water. We're hoping that the gel will also stop it. And if the aquarium survives, hopefully it stops that bullet and the bullet doesn't, I'm just worried. I just want it to be the best for you guys. So hopefully this works. We'll be going with the Gen 6 Glock. If that works, we'll go to the M&P 2.0. And then last and least, we'll be running the Gen 3 19s. I'm just kidding. I love the Gen 3s. This water is so cold, by the way. Okay. We are loaded. We ready?
Good.
Submersion test, boys. All right, 3, 2, 1. Well, we got one shot at least. And it worked. And let's find out. It cycled as well. Neato.
Did a round went into the jaw.
Did it?
Yeah, look at the shape of how the glass shattered too.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that That didn't care at all.
It flew right through the glass.
You know what? It was an idea. I thought it would work a little bit better, but at least we got it, guys. Okay, so submersion test, a clear win on the Gen 6. Weren't able to test at the other guns, but wasn't really that much of a torque test. It was fun. It was very cool to see. But now we're going to go to the hardest test, and that is going to be the freezing test. So we're going to load every single one of these. We're going to put them into the dry ice, let them freeze completely solid, and we'll see if they work. Why do we do this? Well, for those of you who live in northern latitudes, such as Idaho, like where we are, Montana, Wyoming, Alaska, you know your gun gets frozen solid, especially if you're on a snowmobile, out hunting, it rains, temperature drops, it freezes. This is very common, and it is a good test to see if your gun will still work when drizzled upon and then frozen. Okay, Gen 6 is going to the dry ice. We're gonna do it for 1:30 because it's very cold. Go ahead and wedge it in there. Time it at 1:30, and we'll see what we get. We'll do this with each firearm. Just about to pull this guy out. It's been freezing for 1:30.
We got 20 seconds left.
Should crispy in there. That's cold.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, here we go. 1:30. Nice and frozen. Ready?
Yep.
All right, should work no problem. Ice test for the Glock, pass. Same thing, 1:30. Let it freeze solid. We'll go from there. All right, Gen 3 Glock, frozen. Oh man. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Ah, click. Okay, got a new round in. We'll try that again. Nope. Not in battery. Not in battery. Looks like we have a little bit of ice in the chamber. Nope. So if you take a look right here, we got some ice both in the chamber as well as some of the working mechanisms in here that's preventing it from going fully into battery. When it can't go fully into battery, it can't fire, of course. So we'll try this again. Usually you can hammer it right forward, but okay, think we got seated. Okay, she's seated. Tell me when.
I'm ready when you are.
Gen 3, fail. Okay, M&P, just dunked. Into the ice it goes. 1:30, see how she does. Yep. My hands are so cold right now. Good?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, 1:30. Ready?
Yep.
M&P, once again, passed the ice test. Should good to go. Next up, we're going to have a dry dirt test. After the dry dirt, we'll be going to a looser mud, then a thicker mud. So, to start off with, how we're going to do it, we're just going to put it in the dirt right here. This is dirt from our dirt biking track, and see how she does. So, we'll go ahead and load her up. We got the Gen 6 up first. Place her down. Press her in hard. Press her in. Get a little dirt on top. Ready?
Yep.
No problem whatsoever. Okay, Gen 6 is good to go. Next up, we'll do our M&P. So, she's nice and loaded. Put her in. Press. Press. Take some of that dirt, put it on top. No problem. Next up, we have the Gen 3, nice and loaded. Let's go ahead and aerate this little guy out right here. Press it in. Press it in. Get some of that dirt on top of it. All right, every gun past that, absolutely no problem. I am now covered. Now, it's to mud. Next up, we have our, this actually just might be the mud that does it. But if you want to come take a look at this, it's pretty nasty stuff right here. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and let's do the Gen 6. We're gonna put it in, submerge it, flip it over, submerge it as best we can, and go from there. Boys, ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, she's good. Ready?
Yep.
Okay, so I have a dead trigger right here. If you guys want to come over here and take a look. The gun didn't completely go into battery. So let's see if we can assist it forward. Okay, she's forward. Try firing once more. You ready, Preston?
Yep.
Okay, she's not quite forward again. Let's go ahead and let's see if we can clear it out. I can't. Okay, she's seated again. All right, so it looks like it's roughly running, although a large part of the problem seems to be that there's some debris in the mechanism. I'm guessing due to the gaps right here that's ceasing it from functioning. So we'll go ahead, we'll take this apart, we'll take a look at it. Give us a second. Okay, so we've taken it apart. We had, the big problem is this mud has lots of tiny little pebbles in it. So it appears that we got a pebble that seized up on one of the rails and prevented it from going forward. So we've roughly rinsed it off with some water at this point. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this guy back together. We'll see if she runs now. Okay. Okay, so she's back to running. So mud's always a very interesting test. It's a little bit random in the facts of you get a pebble in the wrong area, it's going to shut the gun down. I do think that we do have larger ingress areas on the Gen 6 compared to the Gen 3. I'm very interested to see if that plays into reliability between these two guns. Let's continue the test. Next up, we got the Gen 3 Glock 19. See how she does. Okay. Goodness. Ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, same thing. Didn't quite reset. Okay, that one was a very weird trigger pull. So we're gonna take a second here. Okay, it was trying to chamber a new round. Okay, she's set again. Dead trigger. Try this one more time. Okay, so she's pretty consistently jamming pretty hard because we likely have something in the mechanism here. So she did a little bit worse than the Gen 6. Let's go ahead and let's see what the problem was. We'll break it down. So we've cleaned this off. We're having a little bit of trouble taking it down. So there's something that's stuck in the trigger mechanism that's also jamming up the slide release as far as breaking the gun down. It will fire, not very well, but it does. Okay, got locked back on that, which is not our problem. So there's something like jamming it up in there. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's take a look in here. I don't see anything super obvious when checking. Based on like how heavy the trigger is getting at the rear of pulling it, I would assume there'd be something in the release on the striker mechanism. I'm not seeing it. This is probably gonna need a good amount of time with a full breakdown and some compressed air. But I would say she's down for the count for right now. So rest in peace to the Gen 3 Glock 19. Press F to pay respects. Okay, now we have the M&P 2.0. Let's see how she does. No mercy to the MVP at the doors. Okay. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so first shot didn't fully come forward on the slide. You can see it right here. Do you want to get a little close to this? Just like both the Gen 6 and just like the Gen 3. So let's see if we can return it to battery. Okay, she's in battery. Go ahead and step back. Holy shit, the M&P, dude. That's crazy. It required some assistance on a few rounds, but then it just started working again. So it beat out both the Gen 6 and the Gen 3. Why do M&Ps always do so good? What is it about? What does Smith & Wesson do to these? What kind of dark magic are they applying to these guns? Okay, now with the light mud, or slicker mud, it's still pretty thick. It's a clay mud out here. We saw our failure with the Gen 6 pretty hard. So that brings us to the end of the test on this guy. Funny enough, the winner was the M&P. That wasn't the point of the video. But we have each of these cleaned out with water. We just rinsed them out. So kind of a final. We'll fire 5 rounds with each. Okay, locked back. Perfect. So it still works after we gave it a little dunk. Let's go ahead and let's do the Gen 3 now, which has been somewhat problematic. You know, funny enough, it kind of semi-locked back, misfeeding rounds, but then when it should have locked back on an empty mag, it just didn't. So Gen 3 is down for the count. So say goodbye to our Gen 3. Let's do the M&P 2.0. It sounded a little anemic on its slide return. Oh, there we go. We have a misfeed. Oh, now we have a double feed. So let's go ahead and pop that. Oh, that mag release is dunzo. Okay, let's get pressure off that mag release. Okay, let's get this out. It looks like our magazine release, there's something caught in it, maybe a pebble. See if we can finish this out. Okay, well, that's it for the M&P. We'll, as you can see, guys, once we kind of cleaned all these out, we have a bit of a mixed bag here, so let's kind of give our final thoughts right now. So, the Gen 6 did very well. Now, like any gun, once we got into the mud, it began to have issues. And the Gen 6 and the Gen 3 Glock 19s both had issues returning into battery once they had the mud in them. The M&P was able to power through it. However, once we rinsed all these guns off and continued to fire, the Gen 6 once again went to functioning normally, while the M&P 2.0 seemed to have further issues. So I suppose what we can do at this point is I can give the M&P 2.0 a little bit more of a rinse right here, just to give it another go at it. Right now, I consider them kind of tied, so we'll go ahead and we'll break this guy down really quick. Okay. Preston, if you would, pour some water on this guy. Don't be shy. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Let's get this guy. Oh yeah, you can see how dirty that is in there. Okay. So, you got your nice little M&P, having some issues in the mud, put it in the river to try and rinse it off, and let's see if she can go back to running like the Gen 6 is. Put that back together. The one thing you can say is that the M&P is super easy to take down. Not that the Glock isn't, but I find it easier than the Glock. No one outranks safety. Not even the lieutenant. Okay, we have a failure to feed again. So if you come take a look, just nose up. It looks like The major problem is the magazine right now. I'm guessing that we have some mud inside there that's causing those failures. See if we can just fix that. Okay. Not quite. Okay, so we gave it the old college try with the M&P, but she's down for the count. So we've gotten to the end there. All guns performed, all things being considered, fairly well, with the exception of the Gen 3, which oddly enough had a lot of weird problems. The M&P and the Gen 6 were very equally matched, except for that mud test right there. It's a little bit random. It's kind of hard to give you a hard and fast right there. I'll put both the M&P 2.0 and the Gen 6 Glock at roughly the same playing field when it comes to reliability. So there's a lot to be said there when it comes to it. So both are quite good. M&P, once again, did crush the ice test. Man, that's hard. What do you guys think? What's your vote for?
M&P, like, performed better out of the gate. The Gen 6 kind of recovered better, though.
Yeah, what do you think, Sawyer?
I'm kind of on the same boat. I mean, as you said, you get your gun muddy, you went and rinsed it in a river. The Gen 6 is running.
Yeah, it's a good point. You know what? I would be happy carrying either the Gen 6 or the M&P 2.0, and I think that says enough. So, guys, thank you for watching. Now I gotta both clean these guns. It's gonna take forever. How you doing? I'm just kidding. I love doing this. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the Patreon. Great gaming. Me and Sawyer are actually monsters at BF. No, we're not. We're good against bots. That's about it. Point is, if you get in on the Ultra tier for Patreon, you get to do game nights. We have a good time. We play BF6. We play, I guess we'll play anything. If BF6 gets a little too Fortnite-y, then we'll move to...
Dude, ready or not, or whatever you guys want.
Arma 3 or Arma 2, whatever you guys want to do. All right, get in there. Check it out. Final thing, if you guys give me a little bit of dad advice, for today is, you know what? Teach your kids some skills. You got a lot of cool skills throughout your life. Make sure you pass them on to your kids. Final thing for you guys. Take care.